Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Marcus Brigham here, and we're now going to talk about building your AliveMAX business using the internet. Now, one thing that I do want you to understand, when you think of the internet, we all know it's like an ocean, and we're all just small little fish. That's how big the internet is. So there's so much room, there's so much space, and there's just so much what's the word I'm looking for? There's just so much room for success out there. But one thing that we want to tell you that is very important to understand is the internet, it can be a gold mine. At the same time, it can all come crashing down if you don't know how to properly set the right foundation when you are using the internet. Now, what I want you to understand is when you think of having a YouTube presentation, for those of you, live video presentations where people can actually see you talking, can feel your energy, can feel your excitement. It's a great way to get your information about AliveMAX across to millions of people out there. You also have email blasting or email marketing. For those of you that tend to be decent advertisers, you can purchase some good email list and start blasting out emails and getting people to funnel into your presentations that way. For those of you that are good at putting together blogs are a great way to create some energy, excitement, people talking about the business. You have that. You also have, ad campaigns out there like Yahoo has a campaign out there. Google AdWords has campaigns out there. Bing has campaigns out there. The list goes on and on. Understand that the internet, ladies and gentlemen, is nothing more than an instrument, a tool to be able to meet a large amount of people. But most importantly, after you have met people, you have got to bring them into, again, as Nader Kazan, our founder, says, back to the old school approach. You have to nurture that person. Even from a long distance standpoint, you have to be willing to build a authentic business relationship with that person, as well as, I would say, a friendship relationship with that person as well. It's very important for that to happen. What I have noticed, the danger in this industry when it comes to building your business online, it's almost like going fishing out there in the ocean, having a big, huge net that you drop out there and you bring in all these fish. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you throw them into the system, but you don't nurture them and work with them, what ends up happening is, you have a large amount of people in your team. But what happens is, ladies and gentlemen, those people will begin to drop out. Why? Because they feel like they're just another number. So my thing to you is, if you are somebody that's going to market online, understand this. You had better have a system that you can plug people into that they can be successful. Now, when I say a system, meaning you personally, if you're online, you need to be a leader. You need to be able to contact and connect with your team pretty much 3 to 4 times a week. Now, that may be putting together a series of emails that have audios in there with you speaking and talking to your team. Those of you that have thought about doing your own kind of website presentation, where you're kind of establishing yourself as a leader, that's another thing that you can do. Or again, by simply picking up the phone, contacting your team, staying in touch with them, getting them to the webinars that our company has, getting them to the conference calls, the training calls. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to nurture those people, or else what happens is they get into the program, all of a sudden 60 days pass, and you start to notice that your volume in your business is up and down, up and down. People are coming in, but they're dropping out. As fast as you bring in 10 people, 15 people drop out. So what you have to understand is, yes, you can use the internet as a means of getting out there to reach a lot of people, but understand that you have to nurture them. And that's why, again, our founder, Mr. Nader Kazan, always talks about, the old school approach. The business-to-business relationship is the best way to build this business, because you're not building it based off of hype. The thing about the internet, too, is, understand this, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people that you find on the internet tend to hop around from program to program. As soon as somebody waves their network marketing or their home-based business magic wand and say, I have something new, guess what? All of a sudden, your downline starts to leave. And then they get to that company. And then what happens? Another person waves their magic wand. Now they leave that company and they're back somewhere else. So ladies and gentlemen, understand that the internet, people will hop in and out of the business on the internet. Now, if you have an amazing ability to connect with your team and nurture them and build a strong relationship with them, chances are you can actually establish a solid foundation that way. But just understand, don't get pulled into the fact, well, I can take this business straight to the internet and just have success. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you, as soon as you have success, it can unravel for you in 60 to 90 days. So the internet is, as I call it, it's a stomping ground for really seasoned network marketers that have the ability to be able to communicate with a large team as they bring them in. So don't get me wrong. The internet is a fantastic tool. But again, my job as a coach is to show you that, yes, if you do introduce this business to someone using the internet, establish a relationship with them, bring them into the system that we have, nurture them, and help them build the business. That's the secret. So with that said, hopefully you have a better understanding of the different options that you can use the internet, but at least you understand, most importantly, the ups as well as the downs to building a business on the internet. With that said, if you have any additional questions, you know you can email me or contact your upline for any other questions pertaining to this particular issue. Thank you for your time.